Hi, my name is Hana Kamran,
And my name is Yusuf Makki.
and today we're going to be talking about our reflective audiovisual for BCM289. We'll be talking about how we started and finished our process of making this film 911 Gen. So to begin with, on November 3rd, this was the stage where we started establishing an idea. We were brainstorming different storylines, different genres, and in general what the idea of our movie would be. So there was no concrete idea in place at this stage, but we were looking for inspiration from the movies and TV shows we watched and lectures as our guidance, and we were looking at also graphs like the plot graph to help us come up with a good story. So this was the stage of just discussing our ideas and putting our creative ability to the test. Moving on to November 10th, this was the stage where we started to know exactly what our storyline was and the characters, but it was important that we wrote a dialogue that really fit with our idea for our film. So we came up with our script, we discussed what each scene would look like in our heads, and we also made sure that we knew what angle shots to take. So we learned this in lecture, how angle shots are important, and we saw examples of that in real life TV shows and movies. Hence we knew the importance of it. So we made sure in every scene we wrote down in the script what transitions and angle shots should be used, so that when it came to the filming day, we knew what to do. This led us to November 15th, which was our filming day. So this is where we filmed the short film. We had our scenes in place. We knew exactly what to do because of the script that we made beforehand. And the scenes were easily filmed, but also there was difficulty in making sure we got the right angle shots. However, it was a successful filming day. And then lastly, this leads us to November 18th to the 30th. This was, I think, the most lengthy process of the whole stages of making this film, because we had to edit and think about how to use effects and filters and audio and all these different aspects of editing that really went into making sure this film was combined in the best way possible to the audience. So this was where we really had to create the film and then see if it was good. So we had multiple different drafts in place for the making of this film, that we would see if it's good, and then if it wasn't, then we would start from the beginning. So it was a process that took time, but we also had that time because of the planning that we did prior. As mentioned before, at the very beginning of our process, we did do planning and brainstorming. So these were some of the notes that we took when we were brainstorming ideas. And one of the things we made sure, and we realized this while brainstorming, was from lectures we learned that conflict is a very important thing to have in your film. And the reason we discussed this was because we realized that in today's generation, audiences tend to lean towards TV shows that have a conflict, that have something that they were not expecting, and essentially they build this curiosity in them to know exactly what's going to happen next after this plot. So we wanted to grasp that ideology into our film. Hence the idea of drunk driving and a police officer that was demoted. All of these little things in our film were brainstormed beforehand, so we knew things that would make our audience more interested in our film.
Moving on to what we learned working as a team. Firstly, we have realized the importance of planning our project out. This meant the brainstorming of the ideas and storylines, as well as seeing how to really utilize the plot graph to base the foundation of our film. Secondly, because during lectures we discussed different TV shows and movies, more specifically how the directors made their productions, including the intended audiences they made the production for, was what really helped us to create our own film. We also learned the importance of collaboration. What we made sure was we shared our ideas to create 911 Jane. Collectively adding on to each other's ideas helped us be really satisfied with the end result of our own film that we have created and produced. Another thing we have learned is that because of our project was a team collaboration, Hannah and I had different schedules, and we had to create time to make sure we had the film to the best of our ability. Hence, we had to organize on a weekly basis what we needed to be done, so we would be able to finish the film on time and make sure it's in really good quality. Lastly, we learned to make sure to remember the feedback our professor would give us and implement it into the making of our own film, so we can deem it to be successful to some extent. And as for the professor's feedback, the use of background room tone audio in each scene to keep what was being said in each scene not abruptly stand out, but actually helped keep this continuous flow to the film in order so the standard of the whole film at the end result would be somewhat decent.
And an additional information as to what we learned about the process of filmmaking is that it is really time consuming and it requires a lot of patience. So it's essential that when we make a film, we utilize both these aspects, because we had to make a lot of different drafts when editing, and we discarded many things we put effort in just to make sure that the film that we made flowed better. So this required a lot of time, and we didn't anticipate that at first, but it did teach us that filmmaking is difficult. Moving on to what we learned from our topic of our film being Don't Drink and Drive. So there were three main components. The first thing we learned was that people don't talk about this issue enough. And the reason we say this is after researching and realizing how severe this and critical this issue is, we realized that people our age are not talking about it as much as they should. The second thing is, after filming many scenes and putting ourselves in the situation of someone who has lost someone dear to them because of this issue, we felt those emotions as if we were in their place. And though this is a fictional story, we knew because of the research we did that there are many cases where people have lost their loved ones because of drinking and driving cases. So we felt as if this issue is actually quite personal to us, not because we experienced it, but because of the age group which this topic is an issue. And lastly, the third component links back to our first one, which is people don't talk about this issue enough, but they've also normalized it to an extent, as we believe that people around the world just assume people our age are reckless and they are bound to get into these sort of accidents where it is a result of drinking and driving, when in reality it should never be normalized, and people need to realize how critical this issue really is. And we learned this because we were creating this film, because we really delved in deep into the issue of drinking and driving. We were able to realize this. With that, we want to say thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed 911 Gen.